Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Picture. Now, I like having new faces on tonight. So, without further delay, let me go ahead and introduce that new face. His name is Ryan Smith. Ryan, please give everybody an overview, and then I'll introduce the rest of the crew. Let me just tell everybody right now that this show is loaded. A lot of information that we pack in. I want to make sure we get you ready for the regular season, and also try to get you a little bit caught up with some of the off-season things that took place as well as we put it all together and we get ready for the games to really begin. With that said, Ryan, please give everybody an introduction about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Scott, for having me here on South Florida Tribune. My name is Ryan Smith. I host Inside the Vault, a Carolina Panthers podcast on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. You can find that there. I'm also a co-host along with former NFL tight end Ben Troop. I don't even know him here on South Florida Tribune. We host Winning the Division NFL podcast. We're currently in our division preview segment. So Marvin, I see you up there on the left. Marvin was on back when we did the Jets and the AFC East. So a lot of good content there. But so check it out wherever you get your podcast. But glad to be here tonight, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're really glad to have you. And then anytime you want to come on, you have an open invitation. You see what we have. We have some heavy hitters. We got Marvin Powell. You know about Ben. You know about Stephen Reichel. Then again, who doesn't know about him? You know, he's my co-host and professor of people and my tag team partner here. And also introducing the rest, you have Tom Shanahan. Tom, why don't you give Ben an overview about what you do? Maybe your paths potentially could cross. You say you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, right?
No, I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area, Ryan, and I do a little bit of everything as far as sports in the Raleigh-Durham area, mostly college football, college basketball. The thing I really enjoy, though, is my books and research on college football integration. I've tried to dispel the myths about Bear Bryant. He had nothing to do with college football integration. And my second book, The Right Thing to Do, The True Pioneers of College Football Integration in the 1960s, includes many, many North Carolina figures far more important who deserve far more credit than they receive.
So hopefully you guys can hook up at some point. On top of Tommy, we have Chris. Yeah, Chris as well. So we'll go out there and, Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself. I have something to take care of. So go ahead, Chris. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. I'm Chris Pizzai. I'm a co-host for football. I co-host the Liftoff Jets football podcast with my buddy Sharman. Talk Jets, NFL. And for baseball, I co-host the NYMLB Talk show with my buddy Rob as well.
And I'm Candy. Obviously, I'm the producer behind the scenes on South Florida Tribune. I take care of the website, do all that good stuff. And I'm glad to be here. Stephen, tell us about you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously no stranger here. We had Ryan on when you guys were on vacation, so he's a little bit familiar to the formula that we use over here. Obviously, I help the South Florida Tribune out with anything I can, from holding down the fort when they go on vacation. Hosting multiple different podcasts on here. We'll be on tomorrow. Back on with Ben and the Fan in the End, and we're also going to be joined by a fellow content creator, my good friend Meg from across the pond there in the UK. She's a big an Atlanta fan, so obviously Ben's going to have somebody to kind of go back and forth with his disdain of what's going on with Atlanta sports right now. So this should be a fun one. We got some fun topics to go over. Obviously, we have some fun stuff that we're going to be going over tonight, and it's always interesting here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. So appreciate everyone for hopping in tonight, and it should be fun.
Well, and last but not least, Marvin, tell us about you.
Marvin Powell III, proud USC Trojan alumni. Proud ex-New Orleans Saint fullback for Mr. Iron Mike Ditka, and proud son of one of the most decorated offensive linemen in New York Jets history. And I'm a rookie to this podcast thing. and I am so honored to be here with you guys and thankful.
I gotta ask you, Marvin, before we get into it, are you upset a little bit that the AP poll came out? Your boys went on the top 25 this year.
Am I upset? That's putting it lightly. You know, the West Coast. Listen, that West Coast bias is unreal. At the end of the day, you know, listen. Last year we lost to Minnesota and we lost to Maryland. So you come off losses like that going into the season, you got to prove it. And Lincoln Riley, he absolutely has to prove it. I mean, he has a resume. We know who he is. But while at USC, he's getting big checks, and we're not getting big wins. So, am I upset? Yeah, I'm upset about where we were last year. But I'm very optimistic. I am objectively optimistic. All feelings aside, we are the sleeper team in college football, without question. 10 wins. Put your money on it.
Well, we were already talking about your recruiting class. I know we've been talking about Notre Dame with all the big time nepotism babies getting brought in over there. But you guys got a big class coming in, and I think it needs to be stated. You guys have a big recruiting class. So may not be this year, but I think next year, you guys will be more than on that list. I think you'd be significantly higher.
That's right. And we got that NIL, baby. So anybody listening, come on, we want you. We got you. We cutting checks over here.
Well,
I will say, Marvin, it had to hurt that Oklahoma was also in the top 25 as well. Lincoln Riley.
Unbelievable.
Let me
Listen,
tell you something.
we had more SEC wins than Oklahoma did last year. We had more SEC wins between LSU and Texas A&M. We beat more teams in that conference than they did. Unreal. Again, the West Coast bias, but don't get me started on this, guys.
I am so proud of the supporting cast that I have here. I had to take care of a technical issue, and you people are unbelievable. I swear to God. Every one of you, Ryan, you're the new guy in the block, and you guys are all blending in like you've been doing this forever with us. Great stuff. I'm proud of every one of you. And if I could give you a high five in person, I would, but just think about it. All right, good stuff. Let's get to the show. A lot to talk about. Title of the show, worst free agent contracts in NFL history. We'll give you one to choose from. I know it might be hard. Most people cheat, try to get 1A and 1B, but try to stick to 1A. And if you end up with 1B, I'll probably give you a moment for anyways. All right, I'll give you the choices. You got, hey, Brad, how are you? My buddy out in Tampa, Florida, looking forward to seeing you at the USF Bowls at some point down the road. I know I'm planning to get up to Tampa for sure. That'll be pretty good stuff. All right, so let's talk about him. Kirk Cousins gets a $180 million deal. We all know what a great contract that was, right? Albert Hainsworth, 7 years, $100 million. Nick Foles, 4 years worth, $80 million. This pronunciation is Nnamdi Asomugha, 5 years.
Asamoah, Nnamdi Asomugha.
All right, good enough. I'll take your pronunciation.
Steven
Thank you
knows.
for bailing me out. Well, you don't have to tell me about 5 years, $60 million. I can get that part right anyways. The Brock Osweiler, 4 years, $72 million. Got J.C. Jackson, 5 years, $82.5 million. Le'Veon Bell, 4 years, $52.5 million. Kenny Golladay, 4 years, $72 million. So, all right, let's see who we got to go with first. You know what, Candy? I'll go with Marvin.
And we can only pull from that list?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I have, bro. Sorry.
No, we can pull our
I'll tell
own.
you what.
We can pull your own, brother.
Wait.
I was going to say, I have my own.
All right,
Yeah, me
wait.
too.
Hold on. You pull from that list, and if you got another one, you're going to have at least one more. Or two. I don't care about you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you got to go Nnamdi, unfortunately, just because he was such an elite player playing in that system before he took that free agent deal. It was a lot of money. You know, this guy, he was considered an elite corner, and he really struggled, it appears, in man-to-man, slot. I think he was more of a cover 2 corner or a zone corner because he got exposed when he got that money, without question. Personally, he wasn't even on my list. I think the biggest free agent bust, the most money wasted, is Deshaun Watson, because he's a quarterback. He got $200 million guaranteed, and what if the Browns got for that? Nothing, you know. And they did it off the heels of some of his personal legal issues, and it was a big deal, and it's been a big flop, you know. So and again, he's a quarterback who, coming out of Houston when he was at the Texans, he was great. He was phenomenal. He was on his way to being one of those guys. He was already a top 5 quarterback when he left Houston. But, you know, considering that money and what they've gotten from it and where they are now in their quarterback position, to me, that has to be the biggest flop.
There's a reason why I give you more latitude, and that's the reason why. Thanks, Marvin. You hit a grand slam with Deshaun Watson. JD Wyatt, welcome to the chat room. We appreciate it. Great stuff, Marvin. I'm proud of you. All right, who's next? Let's see. Let's see.
I'll go next.
All right, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, that's a good one, Marvin. Deshaun Watson. I did try to forget all about that guy. It's ridiculous Cleveland ever signed him in the first place with all the baggage he had coming with him, and it all came out in the end. The name I was going to mention was Albert Hainsworth, because he was a lazy football player, and they should have known that. They should have known all the warning signs about Albert Hainsworth. But what the other guy the thing I'd like to say is you can't put Kirk Cousins in a category with guys like Albert Hainsworth. Kirk Cousins, for whatever you say about him, works hard, plays to the best of his ability. He can't help it if all these NFL owners want to throw money at him. But a guy like Albert Hainsworth, he's a dog. Deshaun Watson had all kinds of red flags with him. And this isn't so much a free agent. But Ryan Leaf was another guy that was obviously someone who was going to blow up on everybody. He's more the worst draft pick than the worst free agent. Ryan Leaf. Bobby Bethard should have known better than that. But those guys all belong in a different category. Kirk Cousins doesn't belong in a category with those guys.
That's okay. Fair enough. All right, I'll turn over to Ryan.
All right. Hopefully I can. There we go. All right. Having some audio issues. Bear with me. Okay. If you can hear me, I think Albert Hainsworth is my pick as well. I mean, that contract was just abysmal when they handed it out back in the day with Washington Redskins at the time. And he obviously Tennessee, he was a good player, but with Washington, not so much. I have to go with Albert Hainsworth for my biggest one. And then I'm going to read this word for word here. This is someone I don't think anyone's going to mention back in the day. How about Sean Gilbert back in 1994 or 1997, rather? He sat out the season in Washington, refusing to play on the franchise tag. And then Carolina gave him $47 million over 7 years in 1998. And they had to give up 2 first-round picks in the meantime, 1999 and 2000 as part of that agreement. So Sean Gilbert is one from back in the day that I would say was a pretty bad contract.
I'm telling you, this crew's good. We have a 1 and a 1B. And they knew they were going to get their 1B. And, yeah, great stuff. Okay. From there, we go to Steven.
Well, looking at the list, obviously, you know, there's some familiar names and faces and things, but I want to throw a couple out there, and then I'm going to throw a couple personal Eagle ones out there. How are we not talking about Kenny Galladay in the New York Giants?
Well, he is on there.
4 years, $72 million. He did absolutely nothing. He set that franchise back, and just more fun to poke fun at the Giants because throwing money around, and it's always to the wrong people. It's always to the wrong people. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about Nnamdi Asomugha. Well, what about Byron Maxwell? What was it, 6 years? I think it was like $63 million. Absolute turd of a signing. You know, Stacey Andrews in the early 2000s. He was brought in. I think he played 2 games the rest of his career. And then where I'm going to go with a lot more recent one. Let's go with Bryce Huff. You know, was on the Super Bowl team last year when the trade for Hassan Reddick came down. They immediately signed him to a 3-year, $51 million contract. Didn't work out for whatever reason, whether there was a not fit for Vic Fangio or something to them lines. Immediately this offseason was traded out to San Francisco. That one could have a bust written all over that. And one that I think it's kind of unfair because of the contract he signed, but another bad one was Javon Curse when he was brought in here from the Tennessee Titans. He signed at the time. I think it was the biggest defensive player contract in league history at that point in time. Didn't amass more than 5.5 sacks in a given year when he was averaging 11 and a half for the Titans before he came to Philadelphia. So those are my honorable mentions, but Kenny Golladay sticks out for me. I'm not going to talk about Nick Foles because the Jacksonville Jaguars signed him that big contract, but he just basically got ran out of Philadelphia because they signed Carson Wentz to a big contract. And thankfully, it blew up the way we did because we wound up with a guy that's the quarterback now. So I got to thank them for making those mistakes.
Yeah, I put one or two out there that we get honorable mentions from everybody. That's good stuff. That's okay. All right, we'll go to Chris. This is awesome.
I got to go with the local team. I got to go with my team with the Jets. Got to go with Le'Veon Bell, right? He sat out the year before. He didn't want to sign the franchise tag with Pittsburgh, so he was out the whole season. We had to overpay for him to come here because I think the Ravens wanted to sign him. So we had to overpay just to get him to come here. And he just flopped out that first year, traded the second year. So he did nothing for whatever the amount was, $52 million. I'm going to throw another name out there. I know no one's really mentioned him. Was David Boston. He signed a 7-year, 740. Where was it? I looked it up. 7 years, $47 million, $12 million guaranteed with the Chargers. He only played there one season. Then he got hurt the next season, cut, and then he ends up playing for whoever after that, maybe the Cardinals. Just a horrible signing by the Chargers.
Andy?
Well, man, the list that you gave, there's so many. I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell, I think, too. I'm going to throw out, because everybody's been throwing out other people, I'm going to throw out one of the worst signings in history for my Green Bay Packers, and that would be tight end Jimmy Graham. We gave him a 3-year, $30 million deal. He caught just 5 touchdown passes for us in 2 years. He just didn't live up to what we wanted. Now, on the flip side, and I know, Scott, you're going to be upset because I'm going to flip side, the best free agent signing that the Packers had, Reggie White back in 1993.
That was a great signing. Much to the dismay of Steven, but yeah, it is what it is. Sorry.
Hey, are we giving Aaron Rodgers a pass?
Well, not evidently you're not.
Please don't mention that name.
I love the way Tommy slips in the third one. Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Here's where I'm at with this whole thing. Albert Hainsworth easily. Oof. He was. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Deion Sanders didn't do very well in Washington either.
Yeah. He was at the end of his career, though, right?
Yeah. That has nothing to do with it. He went to Washington and he stuck out the joint. I don't care. He still went there and he stuck out the joint. But I won't beat up on Coach Prime too much. But the one here that if I had a second one, it would be Brock Osweiler. I mean, that was dead money given away to a guy who never really earned a whole lot. But I'm going, Albert Hainsworth going away. Going away. And guess what? We're going on to another topic. And this one, you can't add any to this, but I knew you would be able to on the first one. But we're going to stay with the Chicago Bears. I don't know who called them the offseason champions, but I figured it was a good topic to bring up. But here's what they did during the offseason. They brought in Ben Johnson. They traded for Joe Thuney. They traded for Jonah Jackson, signed Drew Dahlman, signed Deo Odi Yingbo, another one of those beautiful names that I'm not going to pronounce right. Signed Grady Jarrett. That's easy. And, of course, they had a top pick in the 2025 draft. With that said, Steven, how did the Chicago Bears make out during the offseason? We'll keep it straight.
I mean, obviously, I'm the one that said I felt they kind of won the offseason. They signed a bunch of offensive linemen to kind of protect Caleb Williams. But at the end of the day, you have to hope that that Ben and Caleb are able to get on the same page and get that offense moving. I know he's been making some wild predictions as he's going to be the first Bears quarterback to throw over for 4,000 yards. I think that's kind of the wrong thing to kind of concentrate on. You know, the Bears haven't snipped the playoffs since the terrible showing in the double doink playoff game. Haven't seen them back since then. They haven't really done anything since then. They I think it's between the Bears and the Browns, who has the worst quarterback luck of this century. So they have to show it on the field. I think they hired the right coach. The question is if the previous regime drafted the right quarterback is kind of the real question we have to see play out on the field this year. I thought he didn't look terrible last year, but he looked like he was running for his life. So we'll see how that's going to play out. But I definitely think they put the pieces in the right place. I think they have a fairly good defense. We'll see what the Chicago Bears are in a few weeks, I guess.
All right, I just want to give shout outs to George Boris. Thank you very much. We have a good group here. We appreciate you saying that, though. Eddie Prather is always a superstar in the chat room. Thanks for being on tonight. All right, we're going to turn over to Chris.
Yeah, I think you said it right. I think it's going to come down to I love what they did in the offseason, but it's all going to come down to Caleb Williams and can Ben Johnson open this kid up and turn him into a franchise quarterback, because we haven't seen it yet. And yeah, it's great that he wants to be the first Bears quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards, which is pretty amazing to think about, that a Bears quarterback has not thrown for 4,000 yards yet, right? The highest amount that a guy has thrown is Eric Kramer back in 1995. He threw for 38 yards and 29 touchdowns, which is amazing when you think about a franchise that's been around for as long as the Bears. They haven't gotten that right with the quarterback. But it's going to come down to Caleb Williams. If he clicks with Ben Johnson and that offense, and we've seen how good that offense could be with Detroit, obviously it's different players, but they're loaded on offense, right, at the skill position. So it's all up to Caleb Williams, and he's got to do it. If he can't do it, then you know what? They're going to be drafting a quarterback in another year. So hopefully they could unlock this kid.
That's a great reference with Eric Kramer. Thank you very much for bringing it. Eddie Prather says the Bears' offensive tackle is still weak. They got good guards, especially Thuney. Good, nice comment, Eddie. All right, we're going on to Ryan. Go ahead, my friend.
I mean, if you want to throw another one in there, Sid Luckman back in the day. I mean, good gracious. I mean, we'll keep going down the history lane there. But I think the Bears okay, I don't think my opinion is going to be as popular as others. I think the Bears are still a year away, maybe two. I hear you with the defense, but there's a reason why Ben Johnson has been at the mic, and he's almost been hiding Caleb Williams from the media with the scrutiny, because I just don't think he's where Caleb is where Ben wants him to be. I know it's their first year together, but he's coaching them very hard. Caleb's more of a gun quarterback, and Ben Johnson's more under center. And I don't know if that marriage is going to work long term. Will they get it? Will he get it out of him? That's the real question, as Chris and Steven were saying.
You know, I like that what you just said. I really do, coaching him hard, because you know what, Caleb Williams hasn't had that yet. Let's find out what it's really
I agree with Ryan too that they're hiding.
I think so too. That's a great observation, Ryan. We need to talk after the show, or at least tomorrow. Please send me. I have your phone number. You and I are definitely going to be in touch. I can see some ideas coming with the two of us. All right, my friend. Great stuff. Okay, let's see. Who do we have left? Let's see. We got Marvin. Wow. Go ahead, Candy. You go ahead and tell us who we have next, so I can keep track of them. You're in charge of who goes next. All right, Candy.
Okay. Yep. Go, Marvin.
Detroit lost their offensive coordinator. That's a big deal. Minnesota has a question quarterback with a guy who hasn't taken a snap yet. Green Bay will be competitive. With that said, the Chicago Bears, I think, have a shot to be competitive in their conference. There's a tremendous difference for a player in their first year and second year. First year, for me, going into New Orleans, I was nervous as heck. Second year going to Green Bay, I thought I was going to the Pro Bowl. And that's genuine. That's how I really felt. and I have no doubt that Caleb has that same confidence. It can only help him getting a guy like Ben Johnson. You know, you're only going to see this guy really grow and develop it. And because I saw him at USC and I watched him so closely, I can tell you this guy is built for the long term. He's built for what this is going to be, and he's been preparing for this. So I think he adjusts well to a new head coach, new OC. I think that we see a second-year player who's more confident. I don't doubt that in this new system that there's been some struggle. I hear what you're saying, that he's being hit by the coach. I don't know if I would say that, but at the end of the day, this kid will be ready to go game one. And if they have to simplify the offense, which I doubt is really the case for him, but if they have to put together a game plan that makes sense for him based on where they're at, they will. And I think when you look at him and the additions that they brought in, I think the Bears have a real chance to be competitive in a division that, again, with everything that I said, I think is up for grabs.
Okay.
Scott, can I say something? There was one comment that just got put.
Yeah, go ahead. By all means, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a comment there. I don't know if whoever just commented last, that one. Yes. I did see that. And Caleb has also been fussed at by Ben Johnson simply from the reaction that he has on the field after taking sacks. Like, it's a thing, you know, if you kind of show emotion or some type of frustration on the field while taking those sacks, that can be not a good leadership sign. There you go, mentally soft. That's a good way to put it. Anyway, right. So I did see that.
Look, this is a stretch. It's a stretch.
Anybody that can make a contribution. Anybody that can make a contribution like that, we're definitely putting you up. All right, sorry to interrupt you, Marvin, but that was, as Jimmy Walker would say, dynamite, but I don't have the voice because I have to go to all these throat doctors, and they're learning how to get me to speak again, so I don't run out of gas at 63, and right now my brake pads with the throat are really down there a little bit. So if anybody gets that analogy, be in this business for 4.5 decades, you'll get my alarm going. All right, so what was I saying? Am I losing it? Maybe not. Good stuff. Go back to Marvin, though. All right. What were you saying again, Marvin?
No, listen, passion is part of the game. He's a quarterback. You know, these guys are different. You know what I mean? But, you know, when you see an exchange between quarterback and head coach, that's just normal conversation sometimes. You know what I mean? That's not really a big deal to the media, to the masses. You see a clip of a guy getting upset. The truth is, 2 minutes after that, they may have been hugging or whatever, you know? That's so true. Don't put too much into that. You know, these guys care, you know, and they feel the pressure without question. They talk about how tough they are mentally, but they feel it. You know, when you're young, unproven at this level, and you got everybody on you. I mean, you're gonna get some frustration, but I think that's normal interaction. These guys go back and forth all the time, and you know, we'll see.
Okay, all right, Shannon, go ahead. Sorry, pal. But Marvin.
Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about Caleb's talent. He has it. And let's not forget that Lincoln Riley is a good quarterback coach. No matter what their problems are with their record at USC, he knows how to coach quarterbacks. The question about Caleb is, some of the images comments coming out of the training camp are disconcerting. But the question about Caleb is if Ben Johnson can rebuild his confidence and avoid him from becoming another David Carr, because I don't think there's any question that he has the talent to succeed. And so it's a do-over with a new offensive coordinator and maybe better pass protection. And can they rebuild his confidence?
Did I get everybody except you? All right, go ahead, then I'll come next.
How many different quarterbacks have we seen that when they've switched, when they're in their infancy in their NFL career, have switched offensive coordinators and head coaches and had really successful that first year with a new head coach? It normally doesn't happen. And, you know, we could talk about Trevor Lawrence. He switched and he really upgraded, and yet he didn't have a bang out, you know, second year or third year. Do I think Caleb and Ben are on the same page? I'm not sure. Yeah, Ben is a great offensive mind, but he's never been a head coach either. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the NFC is a pretty tough division, although from the preseason, and you can't preseason is preseason. They're just trying to get people out there, see what they've got. You can't really go by them. But do I think the Bears might be improved? They might be improved, but I don't think they're taking that big leap forward yet. I think they're a couple years away because I think you need a couple years to learn each other and gel together as a team.
Okay, here's where I'm going with this. Number one, there are two things that I really hate. One, who won the offseason? That's one of them. Numero uno. Let me put everything out there, people. I don't know Spanish, but I know that. Well, so you have uno, and then we have dos. Okay. Who won the draft? So I'll give you a third one. Who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? I really don't care. I don't care who won the offseason. Great. Do you get a Super Bowl ring here for winning the offseason?
No.
I don't see anybody handing Lombardis out during the offseason. If they are, then I'll take my Alzheimer's degrees and say, misdiagnosis. And it's not misdiagnosed. They know I have it. Okay, number one. That's your Alzheimer's plug for the night. Please donate to Alzheimer's or whatever. It's not going to fix me. It'll fix somebody else. It is what it is. I feel good. Had a good doctor's appointment, I think. I don't know if Candy would know. So here's the deal. Did the Bears have a good offseason? Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know, when you go out there and invest in a free agent, you get a coach. Okay, think about it. Okay. See, you know what? Thanks, Eddie. I have the red hat on because now I'm on fire with these comments, and I got a great audience willing to listen to me and more out there. So here's the thing. We're on fire. I hate who won the offseason, and I hate who won the draft. Period. I don't like either of them. So now Ben Johnson is going to finally coach a guy who's going to do that size 11 and put somebody through the uprights like Gus when he was kicking field goals as a mule in that general movie many years ago. Anybody ever see the movie Gus, the mule kicking field goals? Look it up, people. It was good. We have a mule kicking field goals. And why am I bringing it up to Ben Johnson? Because he's going to kick Caleb Williams. Is he going to kick him through the uprights? No, maybe he's passing for 4,000 starts. It's pretty good. But we'll see. So I don't care. We'll find out how they do. TBD to be determined. And guess what? Next topic. That's this. Let's talk about the best head coach hire. And we'll stay along the lines of, I'll give you the choices, okay? And we only have these choices, people. Pick from one of them, okay? Thanks, George. I'll tell you, if I keep getting these positive comments about red, I'm going to go start wearing red more often. This is just a last minute. This is a last minute situation for my wardrobe director. So whoever that is, I know Candy was just laughing at me when I stuck it on. But the Vets head coach hire Ben Johnson, Ryan Schottenheimer, Liam Cohn, Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Kellen Moore. All right, Katie. Put them in order, and I'll finish. All right, Marvin.
We know where this is going.
I think we know where this is going. I agree.
Listen. It's a toss-up, really. I think Ben Johnson walked into a great situation with a generational quarterback in a quarterback-driven league. At the same time, the New York Jets have been in need of real leadership for a long time. And the guy that they hired, Coach Aaron Glenn, is a Parcells guy. He's been successful as an assistant, and obviously he's respected as a former player, a very good player. I think Aaron Glenn is looking at something special in New York. I think it's a great combination, and I truly believe that if we can keep Justin Fields on 2 feet, you're going to see the Jets very successful this year with Aaron Glenn leading that way, with that defense in the run game and the weapons on the outside. It's a perfect setup for a new guy walking into. So I think he knows what he's doing. I feel very confident in that. I think he has the edge for the new hire of the year.
All right, so you're going Aaron Glenn. Is that correct?
Have to. It's the only objective thing that makes sense.
Okay, I'm fine with that. All right, Steven, what do you got?
Well, I'm definitely not going with Dallas because Brian Schottenheimer is an in-house idiot.
I mean, how you really
that
feel.
being said, like I said, it's definitely not down there in Dallas. I'm going to go with Pete Carroll, man. You bring in a guy like Geno Smith to kind of give you some stability there. they've got one of the best tight ends in football right there. The only question is, did they get the right running back this year in the draft? Because he didn't look so hot in the first preseason game. Obviously, it's preseason, so you don't know exactly what you're going to get him. But you bring in Chip Kelly in there, that might be a little questionable too. But Pete Carroll just has to find a way of getting guys to play up for him, to play into his system. And he was down there in Seattle for how long? Obviously, fell short a couple times on winning a couple Super Bowls, but did get the job done once. I don't know if you've seen what happened for their first preseason game, but there was a fan in the crowd that had a sign that said, "I don't know who's a bigger bust, Geno Smith or just Jamarcus Russell." And not only did Geno Smith and Max Crosby flip the fan off, that even Pete Carroll tried to rip the sign out of the fan's hands. All that's going to do is let those guys know that Pete's going to fight for them. And when you're a player in this league and you have a guy that's going to have your back no matter what, you can play freely. They have Tom Brady in the front office. I think Pete Carroll is probably the gem hiding in the rough here. Out of all these recent hires, everyone's going to love Ben Johnson. Me and Marvin been talking about what's going on down there with the New York Jets. I think fans should be excited for what's going on there. With their new coaching hire, their new quarterback. But I think Pete Carroll's the snake lying in the grass here.
Actually, for some reason, I like that choice, but it's not mine. But I like it anyway. All right, Chris.
Well, Marvin has my choice, so I'm going to just add to the Aaron Glenn. I mean, this is a guy that played 15 years in the league, and he worked his way from being a scout all the way up through the coaching ladder, right? Now he's got his opportunity, and from day one, you felt the culture change already with the Jets, right? I mean, just with his opening press conference, just the words he spoke, it felt like exactly like Parcells. Same thing with Rex Ryan. You felt the culture change like that with him. And from that day on forward, it's been all good vibes. All the right decisions were made. Moving on from Aaron Rodgers, obviously, to the offseason, the draft, everything. And you've seen it. I know, listen, I'm not going by what the score was and what the stats were in their first preseason game against Green Bay, but you could see the difference in that team. Right, just that one game, you could tell the difference. These guys, I should say, are playing with a chip on their shoulder. A lot of these guys are out to prove, to prove people wrong. Right? You got Gary Wilson getting his big contract. He's got to play, to prove that. What's his name? Sauce getting his big contract, his big extension. So all these guys are playing with chips on their shoulder. Justin Fields, his third team now, trying to be a franchise quarterback. I mean, how many quarterbacks get 3 opportunities like this, to become a franchise quarterback? I mean, all these guys, to me, it's a recipe for success, and having Aaron Glenn lead the way, I think is only a plus. So I'm excited about the Jets. Listen, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs or the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they're heading in the right direction, and that's all I can ask for in the first year.
Okay. Tommy?
Well, anybody that Jerry Jones picks as his head coach is in for a long season. I want to
long live Jerry Jones.
If we look at Bill Belichick's offensive coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, none of them panned out. So it'll be interesting to see how Dan Campbell's offensive and defensive coordinators pan out. I happen to think that both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are good hires. And maybe all the comments made about Aaron Glenn changing the culture are exactly right. The first good move we saw out of him that saw he was going to cast the program in a new direction was, cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers. So I would say Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and then it just will be interesting to see how Dan Campbell's coordinators fare compared to Bill Belichick's.
So this guy's taking 2. All right, Tommy, I knew you'd pull that. All right, go ahead, Ryan.
I had a between Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll. I'm going to go with Mike Vrabel. I mean, the rest of these guys are first-time head coaches, if I'm not mistaken. Vrabel is a proven winner. He got a raw deal in Tennessee. If you ask me, he took Ryan Tannehill, for crying out loud, to the number 1 seed in the NFC or AFC with Derrick Henry as well. He's going to got a second shot now in New England. AJ Brown was traded to the Eagles, breaking news a while back, obviously, but Mike Vrabel didn't want that to happen. He was blindsided by that, and he had no control over that. And anyway, he got a raw deal in Tennessee. I think he's going to be dynamite in New England. That said, I don't know if New England's going to make the playoffs this year. I think they're being a little overhyped to double their win total. That might still be true. So I don't know if it's going to happen year one, but I do like Vrabel of these candidates as the best head coach.
So, Ryan, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
You know what the letters GMTA stand for?
What's that?
GMTA. You don't know. Great minds think alike, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously? Really? Seriously? Really? Although my voice therapist says he can't really do it too loud otherwise, so I won't have it for tomorrow. Great stuff. I'll get to mine in a minute. But I was waiting for somebody in the panel to come up, and some reason or another, I knew I was going to get a Ryan card, not a wild card. Just kidding with you. Okay, who's next? You.
Me. So I was gonna go Mike Vrabel too. I think one of the interesting that I really want to see is how Liam Cohn is going to do in Jacksonville with Travis Hunter, and if he can turn around Trevor Lawrence's career. I really think I like I said, a Vrabel, but just because we've talked about him already, throwing out Liam Cohn just to see how he's going to do in Jacksonville. I think that's going to be interesting. You know, he transformed Baker Mayfield. Can he do the same with Trevor Lawrence?
Well, here's where I'm going with this. Yeah, I'm going Mike Vrabel hands down. But the X factor on this one is they brought in Josh McDaniels, a legitimate offensive coordinator. That's why I'm putting him in there. And yes, as Ryan just alluded to moments ago, he did get a raw deal in Tennessee. He made a lot out of nothing in that Tennessee situation, and the Patriots love him. He knows about the Patriots way. He's won with the Patriots. To me, I can't say it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go even agree with Ryan a little bit more, and I said agree. I'm not worried about them making the playoffs. How about winning 7-8 games for starters, maybe 9 if you're lucky, and maybe take that next step into year number 2, knowing you have your franchise quarterback in place and you have a lot of other pieces, and you'll fill in the blanks later on. So improvement is the key word in this situation for Vrabel. You see, he's not afraid to get into scrums during training camp and mix it up and stand up for his guys out there. So I like this hire. I really do for New England. All right, onwards we go. We got to give Steven Reichel an opportunity to vent a little bit. And I always like to do that. But I don't know if I'm going to give him a chance to totally vent, but I'm going to give him a Philadelphia topic. Okay. The Eagles are projected to have 8 picks in the first 4 rounds of the 2026 draft. How do you like that, Steven?
Well, basically, it just boils down to Harry Roseman's a freaking magician. How are you? We've been hearing the Eagles are a super team. Jalen Hurts, he can't rank him in the top 10 because of who he has on offense. The defense is the cheapest defense in the league. Was a top 10 defense last season, and he's going to continue to sit there and have a influx of guys who are going to be young on rookie deals, and they find ways to get the best talent out of these guys. So the fact that they have, basically, as you were like 8 in the first handful of rounds is is crazy. And how he does it is he trades for some of these guys or on expiring deals. They wind up playing well here, signing big contracts elsewhere. He gets comp picks. He does what has to be done, and I still think right now he's already written himself into the Hall of Fame. He's won 2 Super Bowls in 7 years with 2 totally different teams. It has to be noted what Howie Roseman's doing right now the reason why they're in this position, the reason why they've been to multiple Super Bowls in the past few years, and the reason why the Eagles are one of the favorites this season to potentially not only win the NFC but go back and potentially go and be the a back-to-back Super Bowl champion. They still have to be healthy, which obviously is a point of note after what happened at practice. Losing Landon Dickerson for potentially the first handful of games this season, but having that much draft capital, they're able to do whatever they want to. If somebody does go down for an extended period of time in the middle of the season, they have the draft capital to trade to bring in somebody that can help them immediately as they continue to go on this run, or be healthy, potentially go back, win in the playoffs, lose in the playoffs, lose in the Super Bowl, whatever, that they'll have the capital to go back and make another run with younger players. They're not going to be overpaying for guys, that's for sure.
Well, so what I'm going to do in a case like this is once per show, I'm going to give Steven a solo topic, and this is yours for the night. How is that? Because nobody knows the Philadelphia scene better, but I got news for you. Now we can pile on the Dallas Cowboys, and everybody is fair game for what I'm about to say right now. This is a great segue, by the way, and we're going to go to a station break after this one. And Ryan, I hope you can stand a little bit further. We're just starting to get in. You're doing a great job, though. I got some more fillets for you, Ryan, so hang in there. You're a superstar already. I have big plans for you here if you're interested. So here's the thing. The Cowboys haven't signed a free agent for over $6 million per year since 2015. That was when they had Greg Hardy. Well, a recent update to that story was the streak came to an end when they signed the Dante Fowler for $8 million. Oh, my goodness. I want to start off with Steven again. He loves to beat up on the Cowboys since he's a Philly guy. And then, Candy, you can dictate the order after that.
Listen. They're easy to beat up on because they do it to themselves. Jerry just basically went out and admit that he loves the drama. He loves the craziness. But I agree with Eddie. F. Greg Hardy, anyone who puts his hand on women deserves to get everything he gets. And I think the combat back sports fighters of the world has given Greg a nice introduction to what fighting's really about. Signing Fowler isn't actually a terrible signing for them, with all things considered. I think he's a fairly well-rounded guy on defense, as Eddie's pointing out. 10 plus sacks there. We'll see what he does in that defense down there in Dallas, but I don't think that one's too bad. They've had some doozies over the years. Their biggest thing is insulting their star players, dragging out contract extensions that are unnecessary long, and when it comes down time for January to roll around, they find the way to choke on the worst stage. I mean, didn't Green Bay drop 40-some points on them in the past few years? I don't know. They just love making it easy for us to make fun of them.
Yeah, that's why you're one of your favorite people to like to pick on them. That's why I'm picking on you first to lead off. That's why we had you do the one. All right, Marvin, give us something, brother.
I have tremendous respect for Jerry Jones, but the reality is, the Cowboys genuinely haven't been relevant in forever. And, with this, Dak getting $60 million a year, Micah talking about he wants to get traded. You hate to see a guy like Zach Martin leave. You wonder if he would have stayed in better conditions or better leadership, better management. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I just feel like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are becoming a joke because they get so much attention. We talk about them so much. For whatever reason, we still call them America's team. I don't know what I don't get that. But yeah, the Cowboys are in a division with the Eagles and with the Reds and with the Commanders. So I don't think in regards to winning, we're going to hear too much from them, to be honest with you. I don't see the Cowboys being relevant, to be honest, at this point, under the management of Jerry Jones.
Thank you. Great take, Marvin. Appreciate it. All right, Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much Marvin essentially said that. Jerry Jones, this is becoming do you remember the last, I don't want to say 4 to 5 years of the Al Davis era? I mean, that's essentially what's happening with Jerry Jones now in Dallas. I mean, Jerry Jones, not as smart upstairs like he used to be. Everyone respects him for the businessman that he was and that he bought the Dallas Cowboys for on a napkin, like he likes to allude to, but a napkin agreement. But yeah, this is becoming like the last Al Davis years from the Raiders era. I mean, just so much dysfunction from top to bottom. And listen, Jerry likes to – this is a media game. This is all a media game. Jerry just loves to hear himself talk. He wants to hear what people think on the outside because he feeds off that energy. Do I think he wants to ultimately win a Super Bowl? Yes. Before he dies? Yes. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because Dallas – okay. Jerry was asked this question, I think, a few weeks back on his radio show that he does. Jerry, if you could step down as general manager of the Cowboys and let Will McClay lead the team, who is actually a very bright person in that building, I think they'd go a lot farther. But he doesn't do that. He still has the general manager title, and he is very influential in a lot of their decisions. Until Jerry does that, they're not going to go anywhere.
Great points. Okay. All right, Chris.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you guys have said it all. And you know what? With Jerry Jones, all I could say is I hope the guy lives forever. As you know, because I'm an Eagle fan as well. And I know Steven wants this guy to live on forever. Because, yes, the last 5 years have been really bad. But even before that, it's been bad, too. I mean, I haven't been to a Super Bowl in 30 years. And this is supposed to be America's team we're talking about. And they have not made a Super Bowl in 30 years.
Two playoff wins in 30 years is what it is.
Yeah, that's horrible. Absolutely horrible for quote unquote America's team. So I'm sorry. You know what? Jerry Jones has been bad for a lot. And even before that, let's be honest. Who was really the guy that got that team, you know, that whole dynasty started? That was all Jimmy Johnson, right? With the trade, with the Herschel Walker trade and with the draft picks and all that. That was all Jimmy Johnson. It's, you know, because since he left, what have they done? They've done nothing. So all I could say is, and Jerry Jones has been messing up with these contract things, even going back to Dak Prescott. Yeah, they signed him, but look how many, it took him like 2 years to sign this guy to an extension. You know, he's your franchise quarterback. You got to take care of him, you know, day one. And now, you're messing around with Micah Parsons. I mean, are you crazy? You're talking about franchise players, man. Sign these guys. Get them locked up. So, you know what? Thank you, Jerry Jones. Keep living on. I hope you stay the owner forever and ever and ever.
Okay. Tommy?
Yeah, I heard somebody the other day describe the Cowboys as a reality TV show. And that's hitting the nail right on the head. They aren't America's team; they're America's joke. I see the Cowboys. You know, they've missed Super Bowls, but they've been a team that wins a lot of games. I see the Cowboys on the cliff of falling off the cliff like they did at the end of the Tom Landry years. I think Landry's last season was 3-13, but there won't be a Jimmy Johnson to come in and rebuild the franchise. They could be down there for a long time. Well, as long as Jerry Jones is alive.
Go ahead, Andy.
So you started out this topic with Dante Fowler. He was a first-round pick in 2015. He played for 5 teams in his 9 NFL seasons. He's bounced around and bounced around. There's a reason why he's bounced around. He followed Dan Quinn. He was on the Cowboys. He followed Dan Quinn. Now he's back again with the Cowboys. What Jerry is doing, I don't understand. I really don't. But go ahead, keep doing it, because as long as you're in the NFC, if the Packers have to play you at all, hey, keep doing it, Jerry, because we got your number.
You've had his number for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number one, where they really screwed up was nothing against Ryan Schottenheimer. Sure, he deserved his opportunity. How could you not hire Kellen Moore as your head coach? I'd like to know that. Please tell me why you could not have hired Kellen Moore. You knew what he could do. You liked the guy. You know what kind of an offense he runs. And he's the guy who should have been the head coach, not Brian Schottenheimer. Now, when a guy who's driving a $1 billion boat, built a stadium. I understand that Jerry Jones takes pride in what he does with the draft. After all, I'm the general manager. I'm Jerry Jones. And I'll tell you, many of his picks has actually panned out pretty well. Well, I tell you, we all know Jimmy Johnson is who he is, and Barry Switzer is who he isn't. Okay. Hello, Santa Claus is coming to town. But that's for another day. But Jerry, you were great to me in Tempe. I enjoyed talking to you when I needed your help. When the Lions, Kansas City didn't like the idea of the Lions keeping the Super Bowl, Jerry said, don't worry, Detroit will get it. Great. Thanks for going to bat for Motown, the other D. But Jerry, you blew it with Kellen Moore. You had this guy. He knew your system. He worked with Dak. He was right there waiting. And now we'll see what happens with this latest hire. I'm not too confident. And some of the guys alluded to it earlier with Brian Schottenheimer. Jerry, you should have gotten Kellen Moore. But that said, we go to a station break. Candy?
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved, new school media versus old school media. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find a plethora of great other content. Go check it out. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us. Also, turn on that notification so you know every time we go live. There's all kinds of stuff on our YouTube channel. Don't miss out. You can actually, I'll be honest with you, you can actually watch Scott sing on our cruise. I'm not lying either. Gotta go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. Or if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Ryan, how much more time do you have? Just give me a rough idea.
I'm good right now, actually. All is good. I was able to get some of that taken care of, so I'm good right now.
Beautiful. Good. I got a lot of great stuff. Guess what? We're taking a trip to Los Angeles. We're going to talk about the LA Rams offensive playmakers. I'll go ahead and give you the list, and everybody can just give me an idea. You know, are they a force to be taken? Is this a team to be a force to be reckoned with? And we'll keep it simple, stupid on this. Matthew Stafford, Tyreen Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee. All right, who do we have first? All right, Tommy.
The Rams, I'm not well versed on. Someone else is going to have to carry the ball.
What's that?
I don't know the Rams lineup very well. Someone else has to carry
All right,
the ball.
I'll say it like this. Listen, the LA Rams were about a drive away from knocking the Eagles off on their magical run last year. They turned around and sent Cooper Kupp to Seattle, brought in the Devontae Adams to pair there with Puka Nacua. I think they're going to be in good shape as long as Matthew Stafford is healthy. He is currently banged up. He got nicked up in the
Preseason game.
The simulated game that they were doing with the Cowboys. It got a little chippy. So even Eddie knows it all depends on Stafford's health. I still think Matthew Stafford is one of the better veteran quarterbacks that you have in the NFL. He's won a Super Bowl. He is a winner. They got Jared Verse over there on defense, and apparently they're not done making moves. So we'll see how it plays out. I think they're the front running team to wind up winning the NFC West right now. I don't see anyone supplanting them. I think San Francisco is still in trouble. With their star receiver isn't going to be available for the first 6 weeks of the season. So Brandon Ayuk's not there. Purdy has to lead that team all by himself. I don't think is the recipe for anything sustainable. The Arizona Cardinals aren't going to challenge them, and I don't think Seattle is going to be ready to challenge them either. So it's their division to lose. They will absolutely be in the playoffs. How far they go is really up to the game. We've already beaten them basically 3 times over the last 4 years. So they have to come knock the champs off, so to speak. But I do believe that they are absolutely a dangerous team, and they are going to go as far as Matthew Stafford takes them. I think McVay is a underrated coach. Obviously they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. But there is no more Aaron Donald over there in that defense. The defense is going to be the one has to show the rest of the NFL that they are indeed a top contender in the NFC.
Okay, Marvin.
Listen, all those names you mentioned mean nothing. If Stafford isn't healthy, then the Rams are going to be the Jets of 2023 and 2024 with weapons on the outside, a guy who can run the ball. But if you don't have a guy to pull the trigger, if you don't have a field general, if you don't have that soon-to-be Hall of Famer at quarterback, then their season will be a 5-12 season, no doubt about it. He's everything. If that guy's healthy, then they compete in the NFC, period. If he's not healthy, nothing else matters.
I like that take. All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar to Marvin. Stafford is really what this comes down to. He's 37 years old, if my math is correct. That back, I don't think it's going to be – Sean McVay said it. If it was – he could play. So I'm not that concerned. But health is a key factor with Matthew Stafford. We know he's a tough son of a gun. We saw that back in Detroit during those days. But, yeah, it all comes down to the Rams with Matthew Stafford. I think Steven said, I agree. They will probably win this division. I don't know if San Francisco's got all of their weapons ready to go. There is an easy schedule for San Francisco, which will help them. But I think the Rams are the best overall team in that division. So, yes, they are a force to be reckoned with still in the NFC.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. I would say the Rams are probably the second best team in the NFC, right behind Philly right now. But like we've been saying, as long as it's Stafford being healthy for all 17 games and in the playoffs, because if he goes down, then it's going to be Jimmy G's team, right? And we know Garoppolo is going to be, we know he's limited, right? He's a good backup to have, but we know where his limitations are. So, yeah, if Stafford can stay healthy, yeah, this is a really good, and it's a young team too, right? There's a lot of young players on this team. It's not like they're loaded with veterans. Yeah, they picked up Devontae Adams, but for the most part, this is a really good young team. So if Stafford could stay healthy for another year or two, you know what? This is going to be a team that's going to be a problem for Philly in the NFC. They are definitely going to be a team that's really good because they're young, and they're just getting better. So, yeah, the Rams could be wide. But I nobody's talking about Arizona. I kind of like Arizona this year. Like last year, they showed a little bit of what they could be. And if it comes down to, again, with the quarterback, right? It comes down to Kyler Murray. Can he, just keep his turnovers down? Can he lead that team? I could see Arizona being a playoff team for sure. But that would be kind of a dark horse team. But I still think the Rams are obviously the clear favorite. But I think Arizona is a little better team than people are giving credit for.
Yeah.
So we've all said it's based on Stafford's health, but Jimmy G is pretty good. And the other name that nobody has mentioned out there is Carson Wentz too. Like there are other good quarterbacks that could back up Stafford if Stafford went down. That I think depending on their schedule, how serviceable and how well they could be. We're all talking. There's a lot of teams where there's a huge drop off between 1 and 2. And I'm not, yes, Stafford is in a league definitely way above Jimmy, but I don't think Jimmy's that far off or Carson Wentz is that far off compared to some of these other teams when your quarterback goes down. So the Rams could be a sleeper. They could be a team to really watch out for.
Well, here's what you have. Number one, we all know that Stafford health is paramount to what they're doing. Having Sean McVay here, this guy's an offensive genius. But the biggest person that I'm going to be focusing on is Devontae Adams. The guy's playing indoors. He's playing indoors. He's going to have a capable signal caller to throw it. Capable. We know that Stafford's elite. Garoppolo's good. I think you said that Wentz is on that team as well, right?
He's a potential, yeah. He's not on, but he's a potential, yes.
Okay, and who's the rookie quarterback? I believe it was
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett's a guy to watch out for out of Georgia, developmental guy. That's a guy to watch out for down the road. Let's not get past Stafford. Let's hope he stays healthy. But Devontae Adams is a guy who I think, given the right, listen, Devontae Adams could have waited for Aaron Rodgers to go to Pittsburgh, but Devontae Adams wanted to play with Stafford. There's a reason why. He wanted to play in L.A. There's a reason why. So I don't know. For some crazy reason, Devontae Adams and Tyree Williams, I believe, just signed an extension, if I remember right. And Puka Nacua, to me, is another guy that Brad Holmes admitted he wished he would have drafted him. So I like what the Rams are to do, and the reason why I phrased it the way I did, are they a force to be reckoned with? Without a doubt. All right, we're going to go to an easy one first, and and that's this, and then we'll go to another divisional. Cooper Kupp signing with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to make it a yes or no or a one-sentence answer. Great move for the Seahawks. Who's first? Or we're going back to this. Okay.
I'll go.
Marvin wants to go.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Marvin.
That's easy. You got a veteran player who did it at a high level. I think Coop had a 2-3 year period where he was one of the best. He was all-time great 2-3 year period down in LA. So great hire. Yeah, great hire for them. Good pickup. And their locker room and their receiver room will only benefit from that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good pickup. They also got Jackson Smith in Jigba there. They signed Valdez-Scantling. So they got a good veteran wide receiver core. But is Sam Darnold going to repeat what he did in Minnesota, right? Because he had a really good head coach there, O'Donnell. What's the Minnesota's head coach?
Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell's a really good offensive coach. So is that going to transfer to Seattle? That's what I want to see. I want to see what Sam Darnold could do away from him in Seattle, because we haven't seen Sam Darnold do that other than there, right? So he's got a lot to prove in Seattle. But he has the weapons, which is great. Got a couple of good running backs there as well. So yeah, I think Seattle could, with Cooper Kupp there, again, he has to stay healthy, right? He was banged up the last couple of years. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Seattle, because they also got Jalen Milroe. They drafted him. So he's a kid that you got to watch out for too.
Ryan.
On defense, Mike McDonald, we know, going back to his time in Baltimore, he's a good coach on that side of the ball. So I'm not worried about the defensive side. Cooper Kupp is a really good addition, as the previous people have said. Tactician at the route running position. It still is not as fast as he once was, obviously with the age, but can get open, and that's what Sam Darnold needs, a dependable target. It may not be Justin Jefferson like he had in Minnesota, but Cooper Kupp is a very dependable target. But I think Kenneth Walker is the name that you need to watch out in this offense for, that can take them to the next level. Kenneth Walker needs to have some respect on his name, putting up, and I'm not a Seahawks fan, by the way. This is just me about Kenneth Walker. He may not be Saquon Barkley. He may not be Derrick Henry. He may not be Christian McCaffrey. He's right up there, though. I mean, the guy's a home run hitter. But just like McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker is the injuries. Can he stay healthy? When he is healthy, that guy is a dynamic home run hitter for the Seahawks, and he is someone, along with Cooper Kupp, who can make this offense really dangerous.
Great take, Ryan. Thank you. All right, Steven.
Listen, you got to replace DK Metcalf somehow, and who better to do that than Cooper Kupp? He's going to give them somebody who's going to play hard every snap, not just disappear for half the game and decide he wants to show up when he wants to, when he's getting his looks. You're not going to have Cooper Kupp picking fights with people on the field, things like that. I think it's definitely a smart pickup for Seattle. Great way to kind of make the fans forget about the DK Metcalf experience and move into this new regime that Seattle's bringing in. So I'm definitely 2 thumbs up for Cooper getting a fresh start out there in Seattle.
Okay, Tommy.
Yeah, I'd like to see Cooper Kupp establish himself with another franchise. It's a very smart move. Anytime you can pick up a veteran, technician, smart player, veteran, a team player, I hope it works out well for him.
I think anytime you pick up a veteran, he has 7,776 receiving yards. He can only benefit and teach your young receivers as well. I mean, great pickup.
What I like about the pickup, he's going home. Washington State. Sam Darnold can use him. The only difference between one place and the other where he played was one had red turf and the other one had green. I believe he played at Eastern Washington, if I remember correctly. I don't know.
You are correct.
On that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
You're
so
correct.
you know what I like about him? He played college ball with the shirt that I'm wearing. Red is a beautiful color tonight. Oh my goodness. Oh, awesome, baby. Yeah, great pickup for him. Glad they made the move. Like it for the Hawks. All right, on to another easier one, and then I have another one that's interesting. Pittsburgh Steelers signed Darius Slay to a 1-year fully guaranteed contract. Let's go around the horn again. Not anything close to that show, but our version of it. Okay?
Yeah, Slay's a great player. I think he had an ankle injury or a foot injury the other day. But along with Ramsey, I mean, you're looking at one of the best duos in the league, literally. And I look forward to him getting healthy and getting out there and helping Mike T chase a playoff run there. But great pickup. Hopefully he can get healthy.
Thank you, Marvin.
Yeah.
Chris.
Listen, Slay, I've seen him with Philly last couple of years, and he's a great mentor to, the younger corners, which he was with Philly. He's still a solid cornerback. Yeah, he's not what he once was, when he was with Detroit in his first couple of years with Philly, but he's still a solid corner, good veteran guy. He knows what he's doing out there. I thought that was a great pickup for Pittsburgh.
Thanks for the kind words, Eddie. That was good. Your version of Around the Horn was way better than the other version. That was good. Thanks. All right, Ryan. I don't know what you think of my version of Around the Horn, but I'm going to you next for your opinion on this one. Thanks, Eddie. You're the best, pal. Thanks. Glad to have you as a consistent. We have to, you know what, Stephen? What I want you to do is write down Eddie Prather's name, and he's definitely going to be eligible for that giveaway. How's that? Here's the thing. Sorry, Ryan, but when this guy comes in the chat room, he doesn't just show up. He comes up with a pretty darn good stuff. So Joshua Dorr and Cyberowski, if by chance that you are listening or watching, Eddie Prather will come out of nowhere, and he may be your best competition, not only because he shows up, but when he comes in, he brings it. I almost feel like with Eddie Prather on there, this guy's actually on the show with a camera in front of him. So take note of his name, Stephen. Eddie Prather. This guy could be eligible for what we're doing. Okay, sorry, Ryan, but I had to get this out there, pal. You know what it's like.
Yeah. Darius Slay is a really good corner. As Chris said, been that way in Philly for a while. He has lost a little bit of a step, but I still think he could be a dependable number 2 corner for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he does stay healthy, it sounds like he was banged up the last few days in camp. So if he can stay healthy, that's the key, because he's starting to get up there in that really old age for the cornerback position. So staying healthy would be key for him, but I think he's a good corner 2 there in Pittsburgh.
Tommy?
Yeah, the Steelers haven't told us much about that injury, which is worrisome. Let's hope it's not too bad. Obviously a great player, great career, and a great addition for the Steelers.
Listen, definitely sad to see Slay leave Philadelphia. I know people are sitting there saying he's not the dude he was when he was in Detroit. Listen, in my opinion, I thought he gave stability to that Eagles secondary it had been an absolute mess for the better part of 10 years. As the guys were already talking about, mentor. I just had Tate Godwin on here, who was only in Philadelphia for one season, and he spoke so highly of Darius Slay. It's ridiculous. I've met him at autograph signings. He's great on social media. Him and his wife. I know everyone's talking about the ankle injury. He did roll his ankle during 7-on-7s in practice the other day. They say he looks fine, good to go. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers not only have two really good corners in Ramsey and Slay. Everyone's getting about Porter Jr. Having guys like that in front of him to help kind of guide him and help him as one or maybe both of them move on, I think is invaluable. I think he gives the Pittsburgh Steelers defense something that those guys up front can really pin their ears back and go after. When you have a guy like TJ Watt there who can get after the quarterback like he can, I think it is incredibly invaluable. I think that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, despite what they could or couldn't be on offense, regardless what you feel about Aaron Rodgers, should be in a position where they should not only be a playoff team, but a credible threat to anyone, regardless if we're talking, Buffalo, Baltimore, or Kansas City for that matter. I think Darius Slay and some of the moves Pittsburgh made during the offseason gives them an opportunity to kind of win now, so to speak. We'll see how it all plays out, but again, hate to see Darius leave Philadelphia, but glad to see him kind of stay in the area and see what he could do for Pittsburgh.
Darius Slay brings another veteran leadership to that defense, and I think that's invaluable. And he's not one of these that, how should I put it, is a head case that needs this and needs that and needs all the attention. He doesn't. The one thing I will say is any of you that are interested, Scott did interview him over at the Super Bowl, so it is on our YouTube channel. So go check out our YouTube channel and the interview he did with Darius Slay. Great human being, great interview, good all-around guy. I only wish the best for him. No, do I want their offense to do as good? Well, no, but their defense can do fine. There you go.
That Aaron Rodgers hate is just coming out of her.
I'm with Candy.
Hey, Candy, thanks for the plug on that. I appreciate it. I'll go ahead and give you the brief version of this. I was hoping he'd re-land in Detroit. I really was. I thought maybe a reunion was possible. It didn't, so the next best place is Pittsburgh. I think he's actually the sleeper signing for the Steelers this year. And I mean the sleeper signing when you look at some of the other offseason moves that they made. I like it for Darius. He got a ring in Philadelphia. Well-deserved. The ring fits the personality, and it is nothing but diamond and gold for Darius Slay. So thanks for the plug, Candy, on that. That was a very, very enjoyable interview. And, going to the Super Bowl, I met a lot of good people, but Darius was just a cool cat. All right, more NFL talk. Notable players who left San Francisco this offseason include wide receiver Deebo Samuel, linebacker Trey Greenlaw, cornerback Charvarius Ward, safety Tolonia Hufanga, Aaron Banks is easier, Jalen Moore. You have defensive end Leonard Floyd, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle Malik Collins, and fullback Kyle Juszczyk. And also note today that Amir Abdullah is out for the season with an injury. He's on season-ending injured reserve. So definitely the Rams' road to winning the division. The 49ers lost an awful lot of people. That's not what you want to see for them. Ryan, what are your thoughts about the losses for the 49ers?
Well, first off, correct me if I'm wrong, and Scott, this is not against you. Is Kyle Juszczyk, is he back though? Did he not get re-signed? I think he did.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, if there's an update I don't know about, please do it.
Okay.
No
All right. I'm gonna go with so taking Juszczyk off the list. I'm gonna go with what the guy I said over on the Broncos earlier. Both these guys have injury history. Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker, and safety Talahona Hufanga for the safeties. But Dre Greenlaw is a stud linebacker. I think he is going to be a bigger loss than people know in that linebacker room. Fred Warner is good. We all know that. But he had his kind of Batman and Robin there with Fred Warner, and he's going to be missed dearly. Or I'm sorry, with Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw is going to be missed dearly in that San Francisco locker room, not just for the culture, but his play on and off the field as well.
A great take. Like I said, if anybody has updated information I need to be corrected, I'm totally fine with it, as long as we get it in my book. Okay, just so you know, Ryan, I have something in there from Frank Reynolds. Says as long as we get it right, that's all that matters. Lessons from the microphone, and of all the things I put in there, that's one of the things I take the most pride in. And thank you very much, Ryan. I don't know, but it's okay. It's all good. All right, Steven.
Yeah, man, the 49ers definitely have a different look team. That's why I'm not high on them. You lose a Deebo Samuel on offense, your defense is completely ripped apart and gutted. Tre'Davious Ward is gone, Dre Greenlaw is gone, Javion Hargrove's gone. And to my recollection, the only one they added was the trade with the Eagles to bring in a Bryce Huff. So, they have someone who can get after the quarterback, but what can he do in coverage? That's one of the reasons why he just did not work here in Philadelphia. Their defense has a huge question mark around it. I think the team overall has a big question mark around it with all the guys that left, signing Brock Purdy to the contract you signed him to. They haven't really given him any real weapons this offseason to kind of move forward. You got to hope that Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, I think that puts him in a better position. But as I've already said, Brandon Ayuk has looked like he's going to miss the first 6 games of the season. It puts them really in a bad spot. So, as Eddie said, you have Trent Williams, who is arguably the big bad boy of the offensive tackles in this league, and he ain't getting any younger. He's been in this league well more than I think like 12 or 13 years now. He ain't getting any younger, so they got a lot of problems going on there in San Francisco. It's why I say that the Rams are the favorite in that division. Losing that much on defense, not really adding pieces back on offense, I think spells recipe for disaster in San Francisco. I think the Bay Area fans are not going to be happy with what is put out on that field this season. John Lynch and Shanahan have a lot to kind of scheme up to try to get some wins out of their boys this year.
Great takes, Steven. Great stuff. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, so that division to me is wide open. It's weak, especially as Stafford's not going to play if he's injured. And what it comes down to really is quarterback play. With Seattle and the Rams and Arizona and the Niners, whoever has the best quarterback play in that weak division is going to probably win out. I think they took a big hit on defense. That's going to show up for sure. But if Brock Purdy can stay on 2 feet and Shanahan can get that offense going, you never know. But again, when you look at the totality of the conference, trying to be competitive, making the playoffs, the hits on defense are going to show up at some point. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not big on them either.
Tommy.
Yeah, it's strange what's going on with the 49ers. You always think of that franchise as adding people, going back to the Bill Walsh days. So I wonder, and then Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. John Lynch is a classy guy, and Kyle Shanahan, you think of them at bringing in guys. So I wonder if maybe there's something going on with their capologists. They're not handling their money well. The defense obviously is a concern, like everyone says. But the thing that bothers me the most is Deebo Samuel was so much of the personality of that offense because they kept you off guard. You never know what they were going to do next. And losing him is losing more than a player. I feel like they're losing some of their personality.
Great point, Tommy.
Yeah, you know what? I think the offense is going to be okay if McCaffrey could stay healthy all year. I mean, that guy has shown he could carry offenses on his own, right? And you still got Kittle there. And you know what? Shanahan we know he's an offensive mastermind. He'll figure the offense out. It's the defense that has definitely taken, the biggest hit here. Can Salah, who, coming from the Jets, can he rekindle what he did with San Fran a few years ago, before he got the Jets job, right? Can he, fix this defense with all these holes? They also brought in Gus Bradley as well for defense. So it'll be interesting. But, yeah, I think this is one of those years that the 49ers are going to take a step back. And now another question you could ask is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat if he doesn't make the playoffs again? Because he missed it last year. If he misses it again, that's 2 straight years, right? After, almost getting to the Super Bowl. So it'll be I'm curious to see what happens to Shanahan after this year if they do have a really bad season.
Okay.
Getting there. Sorry. So my take is defense wins championships. And when you take as much of a hit on your defense as they are, they're nowhere. They're not going to be up there. They're not going to do as well. Yeah. And it does depend, kind of like we talked about, is Stafford going to stay healthy? Is Christian and Brock going to stay healthy? Because if they don't stay healthy, it's going to look worse than what it might with them even healthy. So I think they might be in for a long year.
Okay, number one, Chris, no to the hot seat for Kyle Shanahan. That's for sure. Yes, took a couple of years moved for Super Bowl. I think the biggest addition that they did, though, you mentioned Robert Saleh. Raw deal with the New York Jets, Robert Saleh. But the biggest thing is that Tommy pointed out, losing Deebo Samuel, you didn't lose a running back. You lost a wide receiver. You lost a running back. You lost a guy in the locker room. You lost an awful lot. This guy represents so many different things that you had, and that's where I think you hurt. Onward we go. Everybody's satisfied with their takes. I think they were all great. It's great to have a lot of intelligent people on here with all the different takes that we have. That's what's making this show an awful lot of fun. All right, a lot more things I want to get to. Some of them won't be nearly as long. The Tennessee Titans have signed offensive tackle Dan Moore to a massive 4-year, $82 million deal, $50 million guaranteed. He's a perfect guy to protect Cam Ward. All right, let's make this one pretty quick. I have a few other topics I want to get to. Who's first?
Well, I'll tell you what. They need to invest heavy into protecting their number 1 pick. I think it's a smart move. I don't know a lot about his history, but if they sign him, they've evaluated him based on what he's done. So this should be a good move for them and for that quarterback.
Ryan?
Yeah, I would agree. Cam Ward coming in as probably the most not talked about number 1 pick in a long time. He deserves all the protection that he can get. I'm not sure how much winning they're going to be doing in year 1, number 1. There's some stories about lack of urgency and Cam Ward having to kind of lead the team as a rookie, as obviously quarterbacks should do, but just a lot of not a lot of sense of urgency at some of the training camp practices and even into the first game. So I think winning is going to be few and far between this year for the Titans, but can't hurt to protect your quarterback first, and especially his rookie year, so he doesn't develop those bumps and bruises getting consistently hit throughout the season.
Okay. Tommy?
Yeah, you don't want this to be the Chicago Bears of 2024. So signing a offensive tackle to protect a rookie quarterback, that's a good move.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Because you definitely gotta protect your asset, right? Your main asset, your number 1 pick overall, Cam Ward. They're not going to win many games this year. They're probably going to have the number 1 or number 2 pick this year because other than them, maybe the Saints are going to be just as bad. But yeah, you definitely got to when you rebuild a team or when you build a team, you always build from the inside out, right? You always build from the offensive line and defensive line out. And obviously Steve knows that with Philly, right? I mean, a great offensive line. It's like a machine there. And that is what you got to do as a franchise is build that offensive line and just build it out.
Speaking of,
And, to sign, as the guys are already talking about, you got to sign that tackle, especially that left tackle. Make sure your quarterback don't get happy feet, especially being a rookie. You don't want him to develop bad tendency, things like that. So, and as Chris was just sitting there saying, you got to start from the front out, man, and that's the truest statement. I know it's kind of a cliche thing, but especially when you're building around a young quarterback, you got to have that offensive line there. So, smart move there. But we have to see what Cam Ward's going to be. We're going to have to see what the rest of what the rest of that offense is going to look like. Obviously, Cam Ward's not going to be a one-trick fix. They have a lot to kind of rebuild down there in Tennessee. You just see that the guy they drafted in place of the AJ Brown trade. He ain't working out down there. They're going to have to put weapons around this kid in order for him to succeed. I know they did sign, a guy from the Hurricanes.
Xavier Restrepo.
Exactly, to kind of have some familiarity, a little safety net security blanket for him down there, that for someone him have a rapport to. I wouldn't be surprised to see him be that third or fourth wide receiver on the Tennessee Titans team. But they're gonna need some help, and they need to keep him healthy and upright.
Great point, Stephen. I'll talk about Xavier after everybody's finished. Thanks for bringing him up now, or unless she does.
No, I'll let you talk about Xavier. I mean, the one thing about any number one draft pick that's a quarterback, any young quarterback, to be honest with you, quarterback, what do they need the most? Protection. Any one of them, even your great quarterbacks, the better protection you have, the better season you're going to have, the more time you have, the less injuries you have. I mean, it can only help Cam Ward, who, we've watched him all, year last year at Miami. I think he'll do great.
Okay, well, I'll continue what I'm going to say. Yeah, without a doubt, you get another offensive lineman, protect them, you have to do it. No brainer. Secondly, I don't know why Xavier Restrepo was not drafted, but he's an undrafted free agent. And yes, there's no question the familiarity with Cam Ward will do a lot of good. And this guy, let's not forget, he was the all-time leading receiver in Miami Hurricanes history. When you're the all-time leading receiver in Miami Hurricanes history, and you've had an awful lot of big names, Michael Irvin, to name at least one, there's your big sleeper of the off season. So when we talked about who won the off season, I'll tell you what, that's why I don't like the question, but there'll be other teams that we'll find out may have won it that we don't know. It's just a TBD situation. So yes, for the offensive lineman, and I'm pulling hard for Xavier Restrepo, who's a good kid that I had the opportunity to interview many, many, many times. Who wouldn't root for this guy? He's an underdog, and I'm glad he's in Tennessee with Cam. All right. Fun fact of the night. I like to throw one of these little oddballs in here, and I'm going to do that right now, okay? Ryan, you're new to this thing, so you'll get where I'm coming from with this, okay? We're going to compare two first overall picks in two different sports. Now, you ready for this? One in basketball. Ben Simmons has made $203 million. $203 million. Jared Goff made $241 million. Give me a quick take about the difference between a piece of rough sandpaper and a smooth one, because how you put Ben Simmons and Jared Goff in the same sentence is beyond my wildest imagination. That is my take. I can't believe they're mentioned. 203 for Ben, and I still think he's a bust in the NBA. Jared Goff, he's done pretty well for himself. All right, who's next?
Right.
So, what am I comparing here? Or
well, what you're comparing is which one intrigues you of these two.
Well, I'm not much of an NBA guy, so I'll go with Jared Goff. I mean, I've heard of the stories of Ben Simmons, and I obviously I followed his career at LSU and a little bit to start the NBA. But Jared Goff, I mean, guy went to the Super Bowl at 24, 25 years old with the Rams. Obviously, came up on the short end of the stick there. But Here's what I'll say about Jared Goff. He is been playing like an all-pro the last 3 seasons. Someone who no one thought was going to stick in Detroit long-term. Everyone thought he was a bridge quarterback, myself included. I'll take the L on that one. And I think, to wrap my point up, what gives Jared Goff an edge, in my opinion, is when he got traded to the Lions, he was sitting in his room with Andrew Whitworth, former LA left tackle, Bengals as well, and they were just, shooting the breeze. And he's like, I'm going to call McVay. I want to meet with an exit meeting with him despite getting traded. I want to know why I'm getting traded. I want some answers. And Whitworth's like, no, I don't think you should do that. And Goff's like, no, I'm going to. I want to find out those answers. And he did. And McVay said it was such a kudos to Goff and kind of the man that he is. And McVay and Goff were able to grab some closure in that meeting before he moved to Detroit.
Okay. Josh Shador, I'll just say this. You were pretty good yourself. I'll leave it at that. We'll talk privately. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, Jared was a #1 overall pick, I believe. Took his team to a Super Bowl, took another team deep in the playoffs. So the fact that he's made $250,000, that's what you would expect for a guy like that. In the NBA, man, them boys, they stealing, boy. They getting that money. I'm happy for them. Listen, they create the market. They create their value. Right. It is you're worth whatever they want to pay you. You know what I mean? So it blows my mind that a person can make that kind of money and not get the results, not have the results.
Right.
At the end of the day, only in America, baby.
Well, let me point out something. I'm glad you brought that up for everybody on the panel. Last week, and it'll be coming out probably in the next week or so, I had a great interview with the legendary Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe. So if you haven't subscribed to the South Florida YouTube channel, please do so. We'd be much appreciated. And Ryan, when we get a chance to talk on our own, I'm sure we can do stuff. But if you get a chance to please subscribe to our channel, that would really appreciate it as well. But Bob Ryan will be on there. We talked a lot of different levels, NBA and everything else. So go ahead. I just wanted to get that point out there. All right, Tommy.
Yeah, I don't know who would ever put Ben Simmons and Jared Goff in the same sentence. Jared Goff.
Me, I'm crazy. That's why.
It's ridiculous. Jared Goff has produced. He's been in a Super Bowl. He probably should have been in a second Super Bowl if the Lions hadn't blown that game. Ben Simmons, nobody's ever compared Jared Goff to Tom Brady or Johnny Unitas, who, I'm still not sure Brady could have played in Unitas' day with the different rules. But my point is, they were comparing Ben Simmons to Magic Johnson. Give me a joke. That guy's was never going to measure up to Magic Johnson. Magic had to improve his shot when he went from college to the NBA, and he did. Ben Simmons can't shoot, period. He can't even take a shot. He's afraid to shoot. So there's no comparison at all between these guys. They don't belong in the same sentence.
Couldn't agree more. Ben Simmons is the biggest thief in sports history. Not the fact that he got one, but he's gotten 3 different contracts.
Right.
As Shanahan was saying, he's scared to shoot the ball. He's gone on IR because his feelings have been hurt, and he's getting bullied by fans and things of that nature. He's the softest person in sports, period. To have him in the same conversation with Jared Goff is disgusting. I don't care about how much money each has made, and it's kind of a similar situation. They're not even the same stratosphere as professional athletes. You have a coward, and you got a warrior in Jared Goff. They should never be in the same sentence for any reason. Any reason.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you know what? And for Ben Simmons to be playing in Philly and then in Brooklyn and being a soft player, that's really not a good combination. Soft player and Philly and New York, right? So, yeah, not good. Yeah, these guys shouldn't even be compared. The only comparison is, they were first overall picks. And that's about it, right? Because at least Goff, like we've said, the guy's been to a Super Bowl, been really good for Detroit in these couple of years, and I think this is going to be a big challenge for him going from a different OC now let's see what he does without Ben Johnson. But either way, I mean, yeah, you can't compare the two. At least Jared Goff has earned that money. Ben Simmons has earned zero of that money.
Jared Goff is a team player. Ben Simmons is not. That is all you need to know. And yeah, we shouldn't be comparing the two. Jared Goff is light years ahead of Ben Simmons.
But you know what? They made the same show, and you know why they made the same show? I knew I had a lot of different personalities on there, and that's why I put it in there. I knew what I had today. I inserted this in here, and I loved all the opinions that I got, and I feel like a genius for that one. You guys did an awesome job on this topic because I didn't know what anybody was going to do. But everybody, if you'll remember this segment, these should be in the same sentence, and I'll tell you what. Everybody gets a GMTA. Great minds think like they should be in the same sentence, but they made it to the big show. Good enough. Rapid fire with the next topic, real quick. Couple more to get to. There have been 3,310 players in the transfer portal. Is this helping or hurting college football? Really quick, yes or no. Where we start?
I'll start. Hurting.
Without a doubt, hurting football, hurting college sports. Totally. There's no more rivalries anymore, right? These kids are jumping from college to college. So yeah, it's absolutely hurting football. It's absolutely horrible.
Okay, Tommy.
Hurting.
Okay.
You don't know who's on what team. You know, used to the group of five or the smaller schools used to have a lot of pride that so and so from your program made it to the NFL. That's going to happen less and less because these guys are jumping up to a Division I Power 4 school, and then they're going to go to the NFL. So, no, I don't like it at all.
Okay. Ryan?
It's hurting. The coaches can't know which players are transferring and can't keep up with their roster. They got to re-recruit guys every year instead of essentially, it used to be you get a kid out of high school and you knew he was good for 3 years. Maybe 4 if he was not an NFL prospect. But now, yeah, you're re-recruiting every single year. So hurting.
Okay.
We've seen more change in college football in the last 5 years than in the last 100 years combined. And the reality is there are things that have to get ironed out. The other reality is things change, things evolve, and the game is evolving. And we're being more honest about the business side of it and how the players impact the business side of it. And I think people have a hard time adjusting to change and something different. So is it hurting? It has definitely had impact on the game in recent years. But I think that's gonna change as they iron out some of these issues.
It's hurting not just the game, but as we've talked about on this program and other programs on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. How are these kids graduating if you're bouncing around from college to college? Like granted, game changes, everything evolves, players being paid for their likeness. I get that aspect of it, but how if you're jumping in the portal every year, are you going to do anything with your life outside of what happens in sports? How many what's the percentage? Was it 5% of college athletes are actually become NFL stars? You're damaging yourself on so many different levels. I sat there and already said it. You need to have some guardrails on this thing. Have some situations where you thought you were going to be better, a guy beats you out, you want to transfer for somebody else. I think the only one that I think that actually found themselves in a better situation are some of these kids that are in some of these programs where Kurt Warner's son. He started here in Temple. He's now the starter out there in Fresno State. That's something I could see where you're seeing a kid transfer from one program to another to kind of get a better opportunity. Not to sit there and chase money. Not to sit there and just bounce around from school to school to school with no rhyme or reason to it. That's what I think where we need to fix it. So absolutely, it's hurting on multiple different levels.
Steven, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, honestly, it is hurting. Not only is it hurting athletics, it's hurting individuals. And yes, You can say what you want. They're now getting paid for it, which is great. But what lessons is it teaching you? What lessons is it teaching the kids? And are we teaching the kids how to handle this money that all of a sudden now they're being thrown at? Because we've talked about how many NFL players that, go broke because they don't know how to manage their money. Well, now you're giving this kind of big time money to 18, 19-year-olds. And you're saying that they can, if they're not happy with their situation, let's just quick go someplace else instead of maybe sticking it out and trying to be the best you can with the decision that you made, a year ago or something. So I think it's hurting in more ways than one, like Steven said.
Yeah, but listen, my question is this. How come we don't have the same energy for kids like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, New Kids on the Block, all these child actors? How come no one's saying don't give them big money, and they don't even go to school anymore? They just have to quit school altogether. Why? How come we're not saying that to them? But for the first time ever, athletes who have been generating billions of dollars for these universities have an opportunity to be compensated for their value and what they bring to the table. Why are we upset with them getting money and questioning how they're spending it when we don't say this at all about any of these kids on Nickelodeon, Disney, or these rock stars? I mean, why the athletes? I don't get what's different and why them. You know what I mean?
I'm not against. I'll be honest. I'm not against them getting money. I think they should get the nil money, but I think they should be locked into. Listen, if Michigan offers you X amount of dollars,
that's not what we're saying. That's not what I'm arguing though. That's not my issue. I agree there should be guardrails and they should iron this thing out, and they will. You know what I mean? But why all of a sudden are we worried about how youth spend the money when everything from Wolf of Wall Street to their parents to everything they see tells them get the money and live your life? Why are we stopping with them? Why are we blowing the whistle now? I don't get that. It's odd to me.
I got you.
Yeah,
I agree.
Good points.
Well, there's a reason why this is a hot tamale, because it's now going to lead to my next topic. How does that sound? Okay. I've said my point that I think it's hurting. If you think it's hurting football, what do you think it's doing to college basketball? Baylor and Indiana had to completely replace their roster now because of college basketball losing every player to draft, graduation, and the transfer portal. So if you think what I just said was bad, I'll said what I said before. Baylor and Indiana lost everybody. And it had to replace their entire roster, the new norm of college basketball, all because of three reasons: draft, graduation, transfer portal. We can make this one brief, but if you think that last thing was absurd, tell me how much more absurd this one is, Marvin.
Yeah, listen, again, there are certain aspects to this that have to be ironed out. I agree that it all happened really fast and there aren't any guardrails and there's nobody really, overseeing this thing. But absolutely, you can believe that the presidents, the ADs, and the coaches want to, be able to have and build teams. So as these guys sign contracts, they need to be held accountable. And you shouldn't be able to sign a contract, get a check, and just bounce. That shouldn't happen. So that's going to get fixed. That is horrible for the game. I get it, but that's just part of change. They're working through it. It'll be different 5 years from now.
Yeah, but Marvin, we're talking about replacing an entire roster now.
They'll do it. They'll do it.
I know. I'm just saying. That's why I brought it up on here, because I thought that I had the intellectual crew that could deal with it, and that's what I have with you. Hey, no, put Marvin back up on the screen, Candy. Okay, I like this. This is unbelievable, Marvin. You're the best. That's why I put you up here to lead off with this thing.
Listen, it's really unimaginable to think that a team can lose all their players. That's just unheard of. It's sad. It is. But like I said, in this process of change, we're going to have some issues. That's an issue. It'll be much different 3 to 5 years from now, if not in the next 2 years. So,
great stuff.
Wait a minute. Time out. How many times have we talked about the one and done with the Kentuckys and all of the men's basketball teams that the guys played 1 year and then they went on, and now all of a sudden we have problems with it?
I mean,
no wonder Candy went second. She was fired up. Go ahead, Tommy.
What Marvin's saying is true, but it's just I'm speaking from a fan. You don't know who's on your team, and if you're at a smaller school and you can have pride in someone making it all the way to the NFL, all that stuff is gone. And times change. I guess we have to learn to adapt. But living in the present, I don't like it.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It is what it is. Marvin, like you said, they can change. They can do it. They can change the rosters. It's not hard these days. They can definitely do it. That doesn't make it any less. It is. I'm a fan too. I mean, I may not be an NBA guy, but I am a college basketball guy, and it is tough to see you don't know a lot of the players in college basketball anymore, and so that's hard to see. But I think I think once the guardrails are up and it's not Wild West anymore, I think it's going to be a little bit better and more digestible. But I think people, someone said earlier, is it may have been Marvin, that change is not easy, and people need to be subjected to that change for a while before they can kind of warm up to it. So I think when those guardrails take place, I think we're going to have a little bit better of an idea how this is going to go going forward. But without the guardrails, yeah, it's just the Wild West as it's always been.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't say it any better. A team shouldn't lose like their whole team because of this, right? So, yeah, and I agree that these kids should be paid. And, yeah, they should be allowed to transfer, right? But there also should be some sort of rules to say, okay, you could transfer. I think Eddie brought it up, like maybe one free transfer, and the second one, you're going to lose a year of eligibility or something. There's got to be something. And I think until they figure this out, yeah, it's going to be nuts for the next few years. Whenever they fix it, who knows when they may never fix it, because everybody's making money, right? The colleges obviously are making money. The players, the students, I should say, if you can't even call them students anymore because of the money that they're getting. So yeah, I mean, why change it if everybody's enjoying it? They're still getting the great ratings. We're still going to watch it. We're still going to watch college football. We're still going to watch college basketball, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Listen, I've already kind of beaten this drum, but like it is rough kind of losing your entire roster, be it draft, NIL, transfer portal, all this stuff. But we're talking like, especially when you're talking college basketball, that's minuscule. What 12 guys can get replaced and coached up fairly recently. Football, it's a little different. It's not as bad of a situation, but I said it before. I think college basketball is kind of the bigger problem when it comes to this, just because of I think the frequency of guys jumping in the portal and how they go about jumping in the portal is way different. In football, I kind of believe it's there's so many different variables where you have large recruiting classes, and sometimes you thought you were going to get an opportunity, and you don't, just because of who gets brought in. A coaching change happens, things like that. It's there are, and as we were already talking about, there is going to be some stuff that kind of gets ironed out over the next few years to kind of stabilize this. I don't think it's going to be such of a hot button topic, but as right now, it's the Wild Wild West, y'all, and let's enjoy the show.
The only thing I'll say about it is all I care about is what happens at tip-off and kickoff. Being a member of the media, that's all that matters. Period. All right. One more fact, and we turn over to Tommy for his quick take. The Minnesota Vikings are the first team ever to play back-to-back international games to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first game regular season in Dublin on September the 28th. The Cleveland Browns will face the Vikings on October 5th in London. All right, real quickly, how do you like the fact that the Vikings get to play twice out in Europe? Who's first? Give me a brief answer.
Pushing that brand, pushing the league, good for them, and I think good for all of us. I mean, good for the whole world that we spread this good game that we got.
Great stuff, Marvin. Love it. Ryan.
It's no secret the NFL wants to go global. Australia is on the docket for next year, for what I've been told. And at the end of the day, it's a global brand. Minnesota's probably not. They'll get over it eventually. It's not. I don't think it's that big of a deal. They'll get to go overseas on a nice trip. Well, business trip, I know, but yeah. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Not a big deal. This is becoming commonplace now with these teams traveling overseas. And listen, it's just a matter of time before we see a team there. A home, a team based in Europe somewhere, whether it's England or whatever. So it's just a matter of time. But this is becoming commonplace. So no big deal, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the guys have already touched on this. Somebody's got to go overseas and kind of be the guinea pig at times. And there's nothing wrong with putting Minnesota out there. As being like literally at this point in time, I think the only big name you really have there on the team is Mr. Jefferson. It's always fun watching. The league itself grow. I'm going to be interested to see what are the new locations are going to be next season, or in the coming years. So it's always good to see the growth continue to do its thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it go to 2 games. I assume they're only giving up 1 home game, and I don't know how that goes over with the fans, and I don't know how it goes over with the players. Players usually grumble about having the extra travel. As far as playing overseas in the future, I think maybe that'll depend on when we can invent a bigger and better version of the Concorde. We'll see what happens.
The NFL is really great at marketing. This is just more marketing on their part, getting their brand out there and different teams out there to market and get more sales, period.
Hey, Tommy, quick favor. Do you mind if we take your last take and then give you 2 next week? Is that all right with you? Or
That's fine.
Or can you do this one in 60 seconds?
Yeah, I can do it in 60 seconds.
All right, do it in 60 seconds.
Yeah, we have another title for Deion Sanders, primetime. It's Professor Sanders. He offered a journalism lesson this week. He talked about how he wanted Colorado to honor Bill Collins. Bill Collins was the first black team captain of Colorado, and he stood up to Alabama and Bear Bryant when they sent 40 white players out for the coin flip to intimidate him and Alabama's integrated roster. The story never gets the attention it deserves from the media. It didn't get any attention from ESPN or any of the major outlets until Deion Sanders said something. Then the USA Today wrote about Bill Collins. Still waiting on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, the New York Times, which is actually The Athletic. They don't know a true story when it hits them in the face.
Okay, we're running out of time. Ryan, real quick, how can people reach you?
My Twitter handle's here on the bottom. Find me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your podcast, and love to connect with you guys. Thank you very much.
Candy, just put our book up real quick. Marvin, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, Marvin Powell III. You can reach me on Facebook.
Anybody else real quick?
That's your book, Scott. Lessons from the
That's my
microphone
book.
into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders.
Amazon Kindle, please subscribe to YouTube channel. Anybody real quick?
You can follow me at Liftoff Jets, at NYMLB Talk, YouTube at NYMLB Talk as well, and on Twitter at CP7NY.
All right, Tommy, real quick.
TomShanahan.report. You can buy my books off my website or off Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Buy them and help me pay my daughter's college tuition.
Great stuff. Steven?
Twitter handles right there at the bottom. Literally just type my name in. It should be really easy to find. Don't miss us out tomorrow morning where me and Ben are going to have some fun here on The Fan in the End. So make sure you guys are locked in. Smash that subscribe button. Peace out, guys.
I had a great crew tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Everybody was awesome. Ryan, glad to have you on. Looking forward to having you on more often. And we'll definitely talk. You were In my opinion, you are A1. Come as advertised. All right, Candy, let's end the broadcast real quick. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.